The Atlanta Falcons are entering their fourth straight offseason with having a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. In this video, we will break down 5 steps needed to help turn this franchise around. And that begins with step 1, find your head coach. Arthur Smith was fired and a new head coach will be here for the 2024 season. There have been a few notable coaches getting meetings with Atlanta. Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, and Jim Harbaugh are 3 veteran coaches who will provide multiple years of experience for this team. Additionally, 2 young and upcoming coaches are interviewing for the position too. Ben Johnson, he is Detroit's offensive coordinator, and Bobby Slowick is the offensive coordinator for Houston. Looking at Johnson, he has done wonders with this Detroit offense, and he schemes out to Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta's talents. We cannot forget about the utilization of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery for that running back room. Also, Slowick, he has done wonders with that Houston offense as he schemes to his players' talents and abilities on the field. Notably, we see how both coordinators cater to their quarterback strengths as well. If I were to handpick a coach, I would take the leap of faith into one of these young offensive coordinators in Johnson or Slowick. Specifically, I would want Johnson. Although a top head coach like Mike Vrabel, it's never a bad thing to have him on your team. Step 2, find an offensive coordinator. For example, I would assume Josh McDaniels will find his way over if Belichick becomes the new head coach. It scares me a little if this duo happens, as they may look to get Jimmy Garoppolo on this team as well. Now, looking at him, we saw that success Jimmy G he had with San Francisco with competent coaching and those weapons. Atlanta having Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. Now, that is a strong supporting cast. And of course, I would remiss not to include Tyler Algier, as he is a complementary piece to Robinson. Going back here to Belichick and McDaniels, having that combination with this existing Falcons personnel, they may be able to successfully run 12 personnel with having Pitts and Jonnu Smith. Now, there is a system familiarity with Smith and McDaniels as they date back to New England in 2021. With this all being said, it will be important to ensure an offensive system that will cater to the supporting cast skill set and utilize their skill sets. This example I just talked about if Bill Belichick was head coach. If Atlanta goes another route, it is safe to assume they will also bring on the coaching talent they believe in and may be familiar with. For example, if Bobby Slowick becomes head coach, he may look to bring over Jarrett Johnson, who is Houston's current quarterback coach, to be the new offensive coordinator. For record, Johnson, he is getting interviews for offensive coordinator this offseason. Regardless, it will be important to have all levels of the team on the same page, from the head coach to the offensive coordinator to the quarterback. That leads us to step 3, which is find a quarterback. Now this, it could be from a trade, free agency, or the NFL draft. Mel Kiper, he has been saying Chicago may get pick 8 from Atlanta for Justin Fields. Now, I would look to send away the 2nd round pick and any other additional picks to get the deal done. If I am sending pick 8, I would much rather draft a quarterback for that rookie deal where they can control 5 years. Looking at Fields, now he has that dynamic ability and the current Atlanta weapons. Now that's a terrific combination for this offense. If Atlanta decides to sign a quarterback in free agency, I would look to go after Kirk Cousins. And if drafting a quarterback is the route, I would be all over drafting Jaden Daniels. Atlanta is now a quarterback away from being a top contender in that division, and exploring a trade for Fields or signing Cousins, that will take this team one step closer to a division title, and obviously even a quarterback they believe in the first round if that is the route. It is safe to assume the head coach, they may have a preference on which quarterback and route they go, but the emphasis on finding their guy, that is the important piece here. Either go that right now route, Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields, or go for the longevity play and draft a rookie quarterback in the first round that will look to be with this team for years to come. Step 4, key free agency signings. Atlanta, they should look to acquire a few pieces for the defensive side and offensive side in free agency. Looking at their 2023 offseason, Calais Campbell was an example of a great veteran signing as he led the defense in sacks and quarterback hits. The obvious signing of Jesse Bates, a player entering their prime and a top of their position. Bates, he led the team in tackles and interceptions. With that being said, Atlanta's defense, they had the fourth least takeaways and tied for the 11th least sacks for the 2023 season. Atlanta, they should be looking to add pass rushing and secondary help. They currently have the 18th most cap space with just under $30 million to utilize. Keep in mind, draft picks, they will count against the cap space, and currently Atlanta will need around $6 million in cap space with their current selection of picks. Atlanta, they can move off Jonnu Smith and save $6.5 million with only a $2.5 million dead cap hit. Additionally, Taylor Heineke, he is a potential cut. They will save $6 million with only a $2 million cap hit. On the defensive side here, Lorenzo Carter, he may be a cut. They will save $3.75 million with a $1 million dead cap hit. Now, he is a veteran edge rusher who does provide depth. However, the new coaching staff, they may look to find their guys and utilize that money elsewhere. There are additional players who will offer little savings, but savings in which could be enough to warrant a splurge at a premier edge rusher like Brian Burns or Josh Allen. Additionally, Atlanta, they should look to find some wide receiver depth. This could be players like Josh Reynolds or Demarcus Robinson, two players who have shown the ability to rise to the occasion if needed. Notably, this past season, Robinson, he stepped up with 26 receptions, 371 yards, and 4 touchdowns over the last 8 games of the season for the Los Angeles Rams. Kicking it back to the defensive side, outside of finding an edge rusher, Atlanta, they should look to secure secondary help as well. Similar to the Campbell and Bates signings last offseason, they can go after a veteran cornerback like Stephon Gilmore. He could also help be a leader in the locker room and serve as a mentor for the young secondary and make an excellent pair with AJ Terrell. Now, if they do want to go younger at the position, someone like Sean Murphy-Bunting, he'll be turning 27 years old, and he will potentially serve as a nice multi-year piece for this defense. Lastly, Atlanta, they should also look to re-sign Calais Campbell, who did lead the team in sacks last season. Campbell, he is a big veteran presence and a leader for this team. However, Ryan Nielsen leaving the team, it may have been the news to say goodbye to Campbell. In this case, Atlanta, they should look to fill that void left. Veterans like Shelby Harris or Justin Jones could just be that Band-Aid for this defense with that one-year deal, similar to what Campbell signed in 2023. Step 5, the final step here, complete the team with the NFL draft. Building through the draft is important, and we have seen how a team like Detroit has nailed their recent draft classes with GM Brad Holmes. Mentioned above, if Atlanta does trade for Fields or sign Kirk Cousins, they will not need to utilize pick 8 on a quarterback. We will also need to factor in any possible free agency acquisitions as this happens before the NFL draft. If they do trade or sign a quarterback, I would look to secure a pass rusher with pick 8. Atlanta's edge rushing defense combined for 15.5 sacks between Bud Dupree, Arnold Ebiketie, and Lorenzo Carter. Pick 8, it would look to be Jared Verse or Dallas Turner at the edge. I lean to Turner as he is arguably the most well-rounded rusher in this class, as he has flashed that upside at Alabama. If Atlanta, they do land a top edge rusher, like a Brian Burns, Josh Allen, maybe a Danielle Hunter, it is still plausible to go at edge rusher at pick 8 and double dip there. Now, this may also create a possibility to draft a different position in round 1. Maybe we're adding an additional threat to the offense, like Rome Odunze, is a possible to provide the revamped offense, with that new quarterback in Fields or Cousins. And this provides that offense with 4 top-tier weapons for that new quarterback. However, there still may be a couple wide receiver pieces available in the second round, like Xavier Legette or Ladd McConkey, who do have intriguing upside. Now, this is compared to taking a pass rusher in the second, like Chris Braswell or Adisa Isaac. If Atlanta does not sign or trades for a quarterback, I would be all over drafting Jaden Daniels as the franchise guy. Mentioned earlier, The entire team is just a few pieces away from being top contenders, and quarterback, it is the number one priority. This would mean they would have to trade up to get him, likely to pick 3 from New England. This would also mean New England would be willing to trade away the pick, so Atlanta will need to come with a nice package. Atlanta, they could offer pick 8, pick 43, their 2025 first round pick, and whatever else pieces they need to get this trade done, a future second or multiple day 3 picks. To round out this draft, the remaining day 3 picks will be important to find the best player available and help round out any depth needed. This could mean finding interior defensive line help or trying to find that late round gem at wide receiver, like a Puka Nacua. If Atlanta decides to go defensive players in round 1 to 3, then they could look to fill out any offensive voids, specifically at wide receiver. It just all depends what their scouting team and leadership believes in. At least we have identified these team needs. It is never as simple as naming players to target or just saying find your quarterback. You need to find the players who will buy into the culture and be willing to leave it all out on the field for this team. No matter how Atlanta goes about finding their head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback, these free agent acquisitions, and lastly, these NFL draft picks, remember, this team is a few pieces away from contending for the division and finding themselves in the playoffs. With that being said, rise up.